Let me tell you a little about myself. I was born and raised in Minnesota, and I'm a native of the city of St. Paul. I grew up there with my parents and my 8 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the 11th child, so you could say I'm the baby of the family. But I swear I wasn't spoiled. That's right, I'm a part of a big family. Probably the biggest family in the neighborhood, perhaps the biggest family in the state. I had a happy childhood for the most part. My father and mother didn't have a lot of money, but because they both worked hard, we never felt deprived. I wasn't much interested in sports like my brothers were. I enjoyed reading and listening to music while growing up. I went to grade school near my house and then to high school about 2 miles away from our home. After graduating from high school, I went on to the University of Minnesota for my bachelor's degree. It took me a while to learn the ropes at the university, but I finally graduated about 6 years later. Better late than never, as my father used to say. I went I then went to Mexico for a couple of years to teach English and to study Spanish. When I returned, I decided to become a teacher, so I went back to school to get my master's degree. After teaching high school for a few years, I was offered a job in California, so I moved to Los Angeles in 1991. After working here for a few years, I went back to school again to get my PhD. I was starting to become a professional student. Well, I completed my PhD in 4 years and then taught at the university for several years. Now I work at a small research organization here in Los Angeles. I am happily married and I still enjoy reading and listening to music, and of course creating ESLPod.com lessons. Our story begins by me saying, let me tell you a little about myself. I'm going to give you some information about me. I start by saying I was born and raised in Minnesota. To be born, born, means, of course, to come out of your mother, to be separated from your mother's body. To be raised, raised, means to be cared for as a child until you are an adult. We might also use the phrasal verb to be brought, brought, up. You may, for example, be born in one city and raised in another if your parents moved soon after you were born. In the story, I say I was born and raised in Minnesota. Minnesota is a state in the north-central part of the US on the border of Canada. I continue by saying that I am a native, Native, of the city of St. Paul. A native is a person born in a specific place. I am a native of St. Paul because that's the city where I was born. I could also say I'm a native of Minnesota because I was born in the state of Minnesota. I could say I'm a native of the United States because I was born in the United States. So depending on what place you want to use, you can say you are a native of that particular place. Well, I was a native of St. Paul. I grew up there with my parents and my 8 brothers and 2 sisters. I say then I am the 11th child. So you could say that is, you could call me the baby of the family. The baby, B-A-B-Y, here means the youngest person in the family or the youngest child of your parents. We call that person the baby of the family. The word baby usually refers to a child from the time he is born until maybe 2 or 3 years old. But if someone says he is the baby of the family or she is the baby of the family, he means that person is the youngest of the family. We would say the youngest sibling, S-I-B-L-I-N-G. Your siblings are your brothers and sisters. Now, in many families, the baby of the family is spoiled. To be spoiled, S-P-O-I-L-E-D, is to get whatever you want and often to not behave very well, especially if you're a child. If parents spoil their children, the children get whatever they want, and because of that, they often don't behave or act like they should. They don't act politely. Well, I was not spoiled, even though I was the youngest or baby of the family.